If you don't own a striker fired pistol, then I'm going to talk about the best choice in everyday carry. Let's talk about the HK VP9 in this episode of Big Dog Tactical. You feel me? Welcome back to Big Dog Tactical. This is a show that talks about different topics from firearms to self-defense, having a big dog warrior mindset, tactical equipment, mentoring, personal growth, and so much more. You feel me? The mission of this channel is to inspire thoughts that reach past the stereotypes that plague American society, which each episode we're trying to ignite a passion for gaining understanding by questioning, learning, and making informed decisions. I promote gun ownership and spreading community knowledge to collectively increase and promote gun safety. However, we specifically target the minority community, although we welcome input from all walks of life. You feel me? I'm going to be talking about the best EDC pistol in the universe. Yeah, that's right. This right here is the HK VP9. That's right. Look at that. Oh my God. Look at this thing right here. Oh, it feels good on my palm. Yeah. Okay. Let me put it down. Just had to show it. You know what I'm saying? So listen, the HK VP9 is a full-sized striker fired pistol and it's made for everyday carry. So if you're looking for a great EDC pistol, then this thing is the best, especially when compared to the Glock. You feel me? Don't get me wrong. The Glock is one of the best polymer pistols ever invented, and that's why they are used by law enforcement. But if you used a Glock and you feel kind of underwhelmed, then I encourage you to get your hands on an HK VP9. This firearm is great everywhere. I'm talking about from throwing rounds at the range, self-defense, and especially concealed carry. You feel me? Look, for a full-size pistol, it's just made differently. You know, that's what makes it good at being concealed. But look, let's talk about range time. The HK VP9 is what everyone at the range would want out of a pistol. This VP9 delivers on different levels. Look, if you're a beginner and you're just learning how to shoot, the VP9 is an excellent option to get you started. Now, what I like about it is that it's a full-size pistol that looks great, and the barrel length makes for not only an accurate shot, but also a longer radius when compared to the Glock 19. I'm just saying. The sights are luminescent. It has 2 dots on the rear sight and a single on the forward sight. Now, if you're lining up the shot, it's super simple and it's straightforward. But let's talk about reliability. Listen, let me give you what I'm going to call a public service announcement. Look, if you haven't owned a firearm by HK, then I think that you should make a purchase because they are super reliable. I would say that it's the most reliable of any striker fired platform. This gun makes you look forward to going to the range. You understand what I'm saying? It eats all 9mm ammunition. Well, I haven't tried all, but everything that I have fed it, it eats it. I'm telling you, upgrade to the HK VP9, and guess what? You can thank me later. You feel me? Look, I promise you that you are going to love how this HK VP9 handles. You know, it feels great when you palm it. And you can tell that these designers, I'm telling you, I love palming this gun. But look, you can tell that when these designers designed this gun right here, they had ergonomics as like a top priority. And it has key features that stand out among similar pistols. Now, what features are you speaking of, big dog? Okay, let me break it down so it'll forever be broke, you know? No, listen, first, the grip on this thing is crazy. The grip of this VP9 is like molded with like light texture grips that are like customizable. Look, coming out the box, it has like a small, medium, and a large panel that can be fitted into the side and the back of the grip. It's like Build-A-Bear for your palm. You understand what I'm saying? Look, this means that you can, for example, you can fit a large grip on the back strap with like a small one on the side panels, or vice versa. Look, it's a moddable grip, and that's why it's the perfect way to accommodate a left-handed shooter. And it has a feature that not many pistols have right out of the box. This pistol itself is made to be ambidextrous. Did I say that word right? Ambidextrous. You got what I'm saying? I'm talking about it has the magazine and the slide release on both sides of the weapon. You see this? Magazine release. See this? Magazine release. See that? This is ridiculous, man. It's both sides of the weapon. I'm just saying, man. It's just thinking about everybody. Look, the only complaint that I have ever heard about this pistol is that it has a paddle style magazine release. You see this? It looks like a little pedal right there. You see that right there? You know what I'm saying? Now, it doesn't bother me, but that's the complaint that I always hear. You feel me? Now, look, maybe it's like a U.S. thing. Who knows? But bottom line, the HK VP9 is the SHI. You know what I'm saying? Look, it has two polymer wings on the back side of the slide just below the rear sights. And these little wings, I call them angels because they're helpful in pulling the slide back, especially if you're wearing gloves or if your gun is wet. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would my gun be wet? Look, if you ever been in a shootout, just understand they never have a perfect situation. And when someone is trying to take your life, then you want a gun that covers a lot of possibilities. Now, maybe you're fighting in the rain. Who knows? But listen, any feature that makes the operation of a firearm smoother is a good thing. But hey, that's just my opinion. Now, according to HK, the VP9 has a pull of 5 pounds and 4 ounces, which that's comparable to other full-size polymer-based pistols like Glocks. You know what I'm saying? The VP9 is the best gun, in my opinion, when compared to all of the competition. The trigger is real smooth. So if you pick up one, you're going to notice that it features ridges that assist your trigger finger with the pull of every single shot. It's just phenomenal. You understand what I'm saying? Look, I feel that it's better than a Glock, but realistically, and I have both, but realistically, if you are involved in a kinetic urban environment, then a VP9 or a Glock is the best accessory for survival. You understand what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. You know, I fumble over my words, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. But look, let's talk about round count. No. You know what? Let me give you a big dog tactical tip. If you're in a firefight or shootout, you got to remember to count your bullets. You have to know how many rounds is in your magazine before you place your magazine in your gun. It's important that you know how many rounds that you have in your weapon, because depending on the situation, you may need to know how many rounds you have in that pistol. You got what I'm saying? I might do an episode on that later on for Big Dog Tactical, for real, because that's something that people never think about, you know. All right, let me move on. The HK VP9, straight out the box, come with two 15-round magazines. You feel me? Now, you see this little cutout at the bottom of the magazine? That's right. It makes it easy to strip it. You know what I'm saying? And I call that winning. So if you got to cannibalize that magazine, boom. I'm just saying. Look, the VP9, like I already said before, can eat any ammunition that you feed it. You know what I'm saying? So I just feed it and feed it and feed it, and it does what it's supposed to do. You understand what I'm saying? Look, the construction of these mags, they are equivalent to winning. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you need to get one of these things just for the magazines. You can slam. Okay, you know what? Let me move on past the magazine. I'm getting too crazy on. I got magazine craze in my brain right now. So look, if you ever held a Glock before, you basically would know what it's like holding a VP9. It measures 7.3.4 inches. It's 1.32 inches wide, and it's almost 6 inches. I think it's like 5.41 inches tall, which is the same size of a Glock. You know what I'm saying? It's like a Glock 17. You got one. It's the size of a Glock 17. You know, when the VP9 has no rounds in it, it weighs almost 30 ounces. That's like, I think it said 25.56 ounces. That's to be exact. You know, and that's a little more than a Glock 17. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I recommend the HP VP9 for concealed carry. Now, it is a little larger when compared to subcompact pistols like, let's say, a Ruger LCP. But this VP9, I strongly feel that it's the best option, provided you have like a belt and a holster. You know what I'm saying? But moving past the holster and the belt, the VP9 is a great size for home defense. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, even though it's a full-size pistol, the recoil on the HK VP9 is very soft, it's easy to manage, and it's a lightweight gun. And that's what's crazy. Because most of the time when you shoot a lightweight gun, the recoil on the thing is crazy. You know what I'm saying? You get a mule kickback, you know. But the great thing about this weapon is that this gun is more than 5 years old. And if a gun is older than 5 years old, usually it's considered old. So they're fairly easy to find on sale. And if you can pick up a VP9, then I think that you should do that. You know, I've been talking too long about this weapon, so I'm getting ready to get out of here. But let me give you what I'm going to call the BDT analysis. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna put it in your face. I'm gonna put this gun all in your face at the end of the video. You know what I'm saying? Now, listen. The HKVP9, in my humble opinion, is a solid 9mm striker fired pistol. And you can take it to the range. You can conceal it for everyday carry. You can use it, of course, for any type of self-defense situation, even if that's self-defense in your home. If you do not own a striker-fired pistol and you want to own a striker-fired pistol, the HKVP9 is a great choice. It's a dependable sidearm, and it has HK's time-tested reliability. I think that it is without a doubt worth the cost of purchase, and it can easily save your life. You got me? Now, I've had my HKVP9 a little more than 5 years. Yeah, I want to say a little more than 5 years. And from going to the range to putting myself in different situations where I had to make sure that I'm standing my ground, I'm telling you, I truly stand behind this weapon. You know, I remember one time I was in a situation where I had to pull this HK out because someone was trying to, I think they was trying to rob me at a gas station, but the person turned their back, you know, and they started to run, so I didn't discharge my firearm, you know. Now, I was angry and I wanted to take it there, you understand what I'm saying? But the person was no longer a threat to my life, you know. But I'm telling you, if you get this weapon, you'll enjoy this weapon. This has been another great episode of talking about the HKVP9. I got to let you know that this channel right here is for big dogs only. If you want real dialogue and topics that affect the 2A community, then I invite you to become a part of the family. So feel free to subscribe. Now, look, if you hate the channel, then guess what? I still invite you to subscribe because I would love to hear your feedback, because I'm always open to constructive criticism, because you know what? You never know how you can help improve the channel. So feel free to reach out to me. This has been Big Dog Tactical, reminding you to get your weight up. You know what I'm saying? And stay tactical. Peace. Big dog status, baby. Look at this thing. Ooh, my goodness. Oh, it feels good on my palm. Yeah, it feels good on the palm. You know what? Let me get out of here, man. I'm clowning too much. I'll see y'all next episode.